Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome you all. We are glad you are here for our webinar on the topic of From Strategy to Execution Unlocking Real Business Performance. My name is Sashma Best, and I'm a support officer of ASCI. This presentation explores how Australian businesses can move beyond planning and actually deliver measurable improvements in cost, performance, and customer outcomes. Using real world case studies and the latest AI innovations, it bridges the gap between ambition and execution. This webinar will focus on some of the major points like why execution fails in most business strategies and how to fix it, how to structure operational improvement using a scalable, proven framework, how businesses are using AI to reduce manual work and improve order execution. Today, we are joined by Craig Bennett, founder of Center of Business. Craig works shoulder to shoulder with Australian businesses to bridge the gap between strategy and execution. He will be sharing real examples of how execution capabilities, data clarity, and AI automation are driving real outcomes on the ground. It is a great opportunity to learn from this session. Please ask questions and share your own experiences. Before we begin, let's review a few house rules to ensure everyone has a positive and productive experience. If you have any questions or comments, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom window. Craig will be happy to answer all the questions. We will also have polls quizzes. We'll launch it during the presentation. I request you to please participate. Also, be aware that this webinar is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel after the webinar. We appreciate your cooperation and hope you enjoy the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I will hand it over to Craig to start. Thank you so much, Craig, for giving your time today. Over to you now.
That's okay. Thanks, Shishma. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for taking the time to join me today. As Sushma said, I'm Craig Bennett from the Centre of Business. We help companies streamline operations and drive efficiency through data-driven strategy and hands-on execution. I'm really excited to be here today and present and discuss this topic about strategy to execution, which is very near and dear to something I've done for most of my career. There are 4 main areas that my company kind of covers in no particular order. We do a lot of project management with all of our tasks and work that we undertake. We work a lot with supply chain operations and manufacturing, and quite often in that space when we're doing work, we do a lot of business intelligence and app development to help to facilitate, I guess, all the projects and initiatives in that space to get that efficiency. We also do coaching and mentoring and change management as we go to help really embed what we do. Vision without execution is just hallucination. I think that this quote really sets the tone. Many organizations spend enormous amounts of time building strategies that never land. Today, I'll walk you through how we do that using real business examples, scalable frameworks, and even AI. And the topic of today is from strategy to execution. So let's dive into how we move from the drawing board to real-world results, unlocking real business performance. So just some definitions to start with, so we're all on the same page. Strategy, in a really short definition, is it defines what we do. Execution determines how well it's done, it covers lots of turf, but simplistically, this is how I see it. And both of those are equally critical for lasting impact. And of course, strategy plus execution equals success. Businesses don't fail because they lack ideas. They fail because execution is messy, under-resourced, or treated as someone else's job. While strategy can be seen as a whiteboard activity, execution happens in messy, real-life systems, tools, and processes. That's where most transformations break down. And what I do with my company and my colleagues, we try and close that gap and to make those executions stick. There's some statistics on the screen, and there's a large number of projects and initiatives that just don't make it because of the execution problem. And it's usually because of that execution gap, and that's precisely what my company helps businesses close. Now, our first quick survey for the interactive part of the presentation. I'll see if I remember which button to click on. So please give the survey a go, and we'll just see what everyone thinks. Hopefully there's 2 questions on the survey, but and the second one will come up. You answer it now. Okay, that's been about a minute. So let's look at the results. For question number 1, does your business experience execution challenges? 57% said frequently. And for question number 2, which of the following challenges does your business experience? 57% deliveries running late due to poor coordination. And the next biggest is there's 2 that are equal, systems that don't talk to each other, and procedure guide training issues or guides and training that just doesn't exist or is not present. So thanks for that. I guess that goes to tell me that your experiences are still in line with the customers that I see as well. Virgil? Typically, when we first engage with new customers, we perform an operational review or an audit, if you like, so that we can better understand the as-is state of the business or the customer that we're visiting, and so that we can also recommend those next steps. Help identify the low-hanging fruits that might have the biggest return on investment. And these are just some of the areas we kind of dive into. You can see on the screen, it goes from master data, where we look at things like the quality of lead times, for example, transactional data, where we might look at how many overdue orders there are or supply-demand imbalances, all the way through to at the operational level, is there tactical planning? Is there a budget or an annual target in step number 5? Through to what strategies exist and even what the company vision is. And the idea is that all of these connect in some way or another. Or if right down the bottom at the master data, some of these are just foundational elements that are needed for execution success. In nearly every review we run, the challenges that you saw in the audits often come up. And those challenges, which I'll scroll on the screen now, they're not just annoying for anyone trying to execute. They actually cost companies money and reputation. And most of the time, these challenges all trace back to some type of foundational execution gap. So execution, I feel, doesn't sit in any one department. It's not just operations or dispatch or production. It happens at the intersection of 3 things: people who are skilled, aligned, and accountable, processes that are clear, repeatable, and audited, and technology that's embedded and not just bolted on. When execution breaks down, it's almost always because of one of these factors not working, or they're not aligned. When all three of these connect, you don't just get efficiency, you get traction. As an example, I remember when I was traveling for work years ago, a manager came up to me really excited about some new software they'd implemented. And I was being in that continuous improvement, supply chain excellence role. I was really interested, so I spent the time and sat down with her. And she went on to say about how much more efficient it'll make the business. But it had been 6 months since she'd launched, but no one was using it. And it was disappointing to hear that, because it was another kind of classic example of not focusing on all three areas in the diagram I'm showing on the screen. In the example I was just talking about, I think there was probably only two of the three that were focused on, which led to a lack of adoption of the new software, resistance and disengagement from those teams that were meant to be using it. If we look at the other intersections, so with where there's only people and process, we get those manual inefficiencies, burnout and inconsistency. So you can imagine without technology, it's all manual work. And when we look at the other intersection between people and technology only, we get, it's a bit dramatic, but it's chaos at scale. We get shadow systems and misuse, people not knowing what to do with the system or using the fields wrong, and it just doesn't work out very well. Again, real execution lives at the intersection, not in the margins. Execution shouldn't be an afterthought. It is the business. And if anyone has any questions along the way, please enter something in the chat, and I'll answer it as we go. So that way it's a bit more interactive. So this slide here is the main framework that helps ensure that everything stays connected. It's our strategy house. It's how we visualize execution alignment in a structured, practical way that's the cornerstone of everything that we recommend. At the very top, and we didn't invent this, but it's something that we use as a tool. At the very top, we begin with aspiration. That's where you have your 2, 3, or 5-year goals, and it really sets the vision for the company. For some businesses, it's growth. For others, it's market leadership, cost control, or customer excellence. This is where strategy usually starts, but it's not where execution happens. At the next layer down, we have our strategic objectives. This is in order to translate our aspiration into action. We define these clear strategic objectives. These are the must-win battles. For example, improving operational performance or improving cash flow. The objectives are important, but still live at a higher level. The next level down is where we bring those objectives to life. This is our strategic initiatives, or projects. So these are the projects and programs that drive change, like inventory optimization, operations planning, and digitalization. For most strategy decks, this is where it stops. But this is where execution risk starts to creep in. The next layer down, we have what I refer to as the enablers. And some of these is what a lot of businesses miss. These are the conditions that allow those initiatives in the prior level to succeed. We have change management, leadership support, the technology infrastructure for those improvement projects, and the continuous improvement culture. Without these, even the very best strategy gets stuck in that PowerPoint. At the very base, the foundation. I think this is where, between the enablers and this level, this is where execution lives. This is where our training occurs, our mentoring, our cross-functional collaboration, and clear accountability, which is really critical. Behavior change. Because even with great processes, if the team doesn't adopt them, like the example I mentioned about the software, they just won't stick. This layer is often invisible, but when it's missing, nothing above it tends to hold or stick. And I can remember examples where I've worked for companies where there's one or two people that's every day remind people to do things or do things manually themselves because someone else hasn't done it. And I think that's just a symptom of something that foundation space not having been done properly. Either the training hasn't happened or there's no accountability. I think a business can't achieve customer excellence if the data is broken, if the planning cadence is inconsistent, or no one's accountable for outcomes. Team skills and operational execution needs that bottom-up focus because strategy doesn't fail in the boardroom, it fails in execution. My company, and just an example, my company was approached by a leading food ingredients manufacturer. They came to us looking to improve that coordination, reporting, and responsiveness within their business. After doing that operational review or audit that I mentioned earlier, I was able to uncover that there was a lot of spreadsheet dependence. There was duplicate data between those spreadsheets or different systems, and there was no formalized planning cycle, I guess. What we're able to do is implement a suite of tools. There was a tool to help them formulate their recipes more efficiently. There was audit reporting and Power BI dashboards. And we're able to align the teams around delivery performance. And as you can see, the results are on the page. So I won't read through them, but DIFOT was a big one. And more importantly, once we fixed or went through with the company, it wasn't just us doing it alone, but once we got through and fixed a lot of these foundational things, the revenue improved just as an outcome of the business performing much better. So this image shows the transformation that I just described. So before, the data was stored in several systems, there was scheduling stored in another, and there's quality records in spreadsheets. After, we were able to connect the data into one model. We're able to, with consistent usage across departments. And what this meant was they were able to really drive home that execution or that excellence in execution. And this just goes to show that what I showed you earlier isn't just a strategy slide or a consulting how-to. It's a roadmap for success. And these tools that we implemented became the business as usual tools that made life easier for people. This is just an overview of some of the tools and that we're able to roll out. So there was the BOM builder, the contract management, for example. But these tools weren't just added on, they weren't bolted on. These were embedded in the day-to-day operations, built into procedures, and there was training. The Power Apps were used to streamline the generation of the BOMs or the recipes with linkages to various systems, including CRM, the quality management, and production schedule. Power BI was used to bring live reporting to the production floor and warehousing and other areas. And the reason why we chose Power BI was the ERP either didn't have that reporting capability or it wasn't able to produce the reports, because within the Power BI reports we made, I was able to connect multiple data sources together for presentation in the one view. For example, it might have been a report that connected some information from CRM, from their ERP, and even quality, all on the one dashboard or page. And at the bottom, I've got data integrity going across everything. I think strong data integrity was critical to getting this execution success. And it's automated. It's most reports are in near real time. So as the company, and I've done this with several customers, as they go in and fix issues, they can see the results and the issues reducing on their own team's dashboard. And all of these tools were designed with the user in mind, so very usable and not overwhelming. These aren't just features, they're solutions that were able to drive those tangible results that we saw on the previous slide. Another example of helping to get that execution excellence and driving strategic objectives was this project where we implemented AI or LLMs like ChatGPT. So if we think about sales order entry, a customer sends an email to a company, a staff member would typically open up the email, open up the PDF, for example, and type it into their ERP so it gets into their system. Through this process, you can have, to various degrees of success, you can have human errors and data inaccuracy. It's very time consuming and it's an inefficient process. Sometimes it can lead to a poor customer experience if a email's been missed or mistyped, and it can also have a high operational costs. So what's the next step up for this? How could this be improved? One option that some companies go with is an OCR, or it's an optical character recognition app, which is able to essentially go into your inbox, and my light's on its way out. Go into the inbox and read those emails. Some of these apps work better than others. One common style of OCR uses a zonal approach, which is the demo I've got here on the page, where essentially the purchase order is mapped out into different zones. So highlighting where the purchase order number is, the vendor information, the due date or delivery date, quantities, part codes, all that kind of stuff. But all this works really well until the vendor or the customer moves the fields around. And I've seen it move around because of things like vendor comments or Christmas shutdown messages or something. It'll just all drop a bit or skew somewhere, and then the whole purchase order needs to be remapped before the OCR program will work again. And this is what we've done.
Greg, can I get a minute, please?
Yes.
I wanted to ask my all the participant to raise their questions because I see we have not received any questions yet. So
Yeah.
I
Okay.
request you to all to write down your questions using the Q&A box. Craig is here to answer all your questions. So your questions will be answered, your doubts will be cleared. And we want this presentation to be interactive and to be useful for you. So you can ask as many questions as you want. So please raise your questions, and Craig is here to answer all of them. Thank you. You can
No
start,
worries.
Craig.
Okay. What we're able to do something better than just OCR was we're able to use large language models, AI, like ChatGPT, for example, to read those incoming emailed purchase orders without any need for the customers to make changes. It goes into the inbox, opens up the PDF, extracts fields like the customer, the product, the quantity, etc. It then goes and checks them against business rules, and then prepares that sales order or a purchase order for upload into the ERP as a sales order. The real breakthrough isn't the AI itself. It's how seamlessly we've been able to use that new technology and seamlessly integrate it into that order to cash process. This is a real automation delivering real return on investment. And this method, unlike the OCR zonal example I showed you, reads the PDF kind of like a human. So if fields are moved around a little bit, the AI doesn't buckle it, it finds the field it's meant to find and reads it into the system. I think just at a guess, it's processing things 90% faster. Well, not a guess, it's some early feedback. It's 90% faster than the old auto entry method. There's no rekeying of errors. Manual handling is almost eliminated. And the data, I guess this is also critical as well. The data was checked against business rules. So there's clearly defined rules around pricing and quantities to validate that what's going into the system is actually what the customer intended. So to keep this a shorter one, this is our summary. So of our journey and our framework to get these results. So once again, our strategy house gives us more than just structure. It gives us purpose at every level. The aspiration sets our direction. It's what keeps, it's what gives the work meaning. The objective level focuses our energy. It's those must-win battles that we must move forward on. The initiatives is where strategy becomes action. It's where change takes shape. It's where those projects are launched. The enablers remind us that good ideas don't succeed without the right support, culture, leadership tools, and alignments. And that foundation level at the very bottom there is what keeps the whole thing standing. It's about capability, mindset, and collaboration. And this is just a little add-on to the strategy house showing those three elements from earlier, the people, process, and technology, that you must have that in mind when you're doing these projects to make sure that it's embedded, I guess, or in everything you do. And because when the strategy fails, it's typically because one of those things are missing. These are just some of my thoughts on how you could build some momentum today. I think if you find your biggest friction point, so you don't need to do some big audit, you can just, quite often I found that most teams know where the issues are. So you can just ask your team, what is the broken process that wastes most of our time, or where you think systems might fight each other. I'd start there. That's your review. Fix one source of the truth. If I was to say fix your master data, it'd be like boiling the ocean. But instead of trying to clean all your data, I'd recommend picking one critical area to you, like customer master or product codes, and then make it perfect. This is the clean phase. Focus on a small but high impact area. Automate one repetitive task. Find a manual data entry task in your business, the one that takes up so much time, and see if you can use some type of simple tool, a basic script, or something just to, even if it's just an assist, so that you can automate it or make that manual task simpler. And getting that one task underway or started will start creating a momentum of believers for doing that kind of activity across multiple departments. I also think just create one report that matters as a starting point. And you don't need, they can come down the track, but you don't need big, massive Power BI dashboards, for the moment. I think if you build one simple daily report on a single crucial KPI to you, like default or daily output, and then make it visible to everyone, this is the reporting that drives behavior. And lastly, if you can align the team around that number. So if you take that report, like default, and make it the focus of a daily 5-minute huddle, talk about what went right, what went wrong yesterday, and what we'll do today that's different. And this is how you align strategy to the front line, one KPI at a time. I've also put together that information in this downloadable guide if anyone wants to download it and use it as inspiration, I guess, for doing improvement in your own business. And just to finish off, the center of business, which is my company, is built around the one idea: execution matters. If you're ready to embed tools, workflows, or turn strategy into traction, let's talk. For the first 3 companies that reach out, we'll provide complimentary, 30-minute strategy to traction discovery session, and it's available through the QR code. And I want to thank everyone for their time and attendance today. I truly appreciate it. And we'll open it up for any questions if anyone has any. no questions. All right, Shushma.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Can we wait for one more minute if anyone wants to ask any questions?
Definitely.
Sure. So if you have any questions, please use the Q&A box to write down the questions. Craig, there's a questions. Can you please look into it?
What's that? Oh, there we go. Chris, how many applications have we used in this model? Is acceptance an issue? Is that Chris? I assume that's referring to the AI, maybe, or is it about the framework? The framework. Okay. There's I guess there's been a number of customers. I think the important thing to think about the framework is just to start at the top and work your way through. And I guess it's not so much about the. I assume by applications you mean how many customers we've used it with. It's typically they've been really focused around manufacturing and dispatch. I guess execution performance, and I think any. I guess if I was to give it some framework, some advice in that space would be to think of it as almost like a work breakdown structure where if you start at the top and then you can keep splitting it down, certainly once you get to the project, but then the project will break down further. Customers low-hanging fruit, pain points. I think the low-hanging fruit, customers, there was different customers, different industries. Some have been in like OEMs in mining, some have been in food manufacturing. So the industry doesn't matter so much. And the low-hanging fruits would be, I like to start off at the, in my audit, I had master data as one of the, as element number one. I think that's the low-hanging fruit. If there's master data issues, for example, lead time issues or not having parts set up in the system or supplier issues, they're the, to me anyway, in my experience and the customers I've worked with, getting that sorted and set correctly is the gives you the most benefit with the, I guess, the smallest investment. So certainly from my time, I know fixing some master data isn't always easy though. Has that covered it?
Do we have any other questions? If you have any questions, please write down.
So thanks for the questions though, Chris. Change isn't easy, no. I think as much as the technical capability to come in and make a Power BI report is, I think that stuff's the easy bit. It's that foundation level, it's the change management that was on the next layer up is the critical bits. And I think getting that momentum early with an easy win is also really important for that change management piece as well. But again, I agree. It's not easy. Thanks, Chris.
Any other questions? Thanks, Chris, for your questions. Anyone else? If you have any questions, please write down. I think there are no questions now.
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Craig, for this amazing presentation. I'm sure our attendees would have learned a lot from this presentation. Thank you all for joining us in this webinar, and I hope you found the shared information useful and insightful. Remember to apply the knowledge gained in your work and share it with others. The webinar recording will be shared with you and uploaded to our ASCI YouTube channel in a few days. Don't forget to check out our website for more resources and upcoming events. Thank you so much and have a great day. Thank you so much, Craig.
No worries. Thank you. See you, everyone.
Thanks.